Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to cilinixfxcapital and welcome to this, emergency update on Solana. We had some very bearish pressure coming in after yesterday evening. Of course, I already did a pretty urgent update yesterday evening, of course, on mainly Bitcoin. But that is also what Solana is based on right now, or at least what it is correlated to. Solana probably is a little bit weaker. I mean, the Bitcoin dominance has been absolutely crushing it. So Solana has dropped down a bit lower, but ultimately what has happened purely structurally, and we'll talk about the structure, we'll talk about all the different possibilities here. But what happened, unfortunately, is that we were not able to hold this last support we had at 117 and 115. Now, we talked about that briefly yesterday as well, that ultimately that bearish breakdown was a possibility. But this is bad news, all right? Because what that means is that we have lost the consolidation which we held for the majority of 2024 between that level at 117, 115, and then to the top towards 185. And if we are unable to reclaim that level, and that is also what I wanted to spend most time on, because that still is a possibility, right? There still is a possibility right now. And you'll see on the short term as well that Solana is being bought up slightly, especially in the last 2 hours. But there still is a possibility that we're going to be able to reclaim back into that area. And that is also what we need to see, all right? Because if we're unable to reclaim back into this area right here for Solana, that means that this is no longer deemed as a fair value by the markets. And then we're going to, then Solana is going to explore new fair value. Now, I have to say, the level we hit so far, $100. By the way, if you watch my long-term Solana video, we talked about that level, that there was quite a lot of support. So far, that has been holding up the price relatively well. And this area right here, between, like you can see there's a high volume node right here, around $97. So personally, the price action of Solana is going to depend a lot today on what Bitcoin does, and what Bitcoin does is going to depend a lot on how the stock market opens, and just in general how the US views the market right now. But ultimately, I don't really see Solana dropping down below this area, right? So it wouldn't necessarily, like, dropping down below this previous structure we had right here would not necessarily mean that we're going to zero, but it would mean that we're going to drop down a structure lower, which technically is bearish, of course, and that's never great. But like I said, if we zoom in here, which I wanted to do, we actually do see some buying coming in for Solana. We also have some Sol USDC strength coming in, which is usually a sign of some Coinbase bidding or US bidding coming in, which is always great. So short term, like I said, there is some bidding coming in, but and it looks we look good to actually go a little bit higher here as well. As you can see, there are a lot of imbalances here between 117 all the way down to 110. So that is a possibility, but ultimately, what's going to be most important, like I said, is whether we are going to be able to reclaim this level right here at 115 at least. And at this point of time, due to the volume we had with this breakdown, and due to the situation for the external factors influencing Solana, that is not something I will predict. All right, we had a massive breakdown, and that breakdown, I think so far, at least technically, has been validated. All right, so the only way in which Solana could reclaim that level is if later today or later this week we see a massive recovery in US equities and Bitcoin, all right? And those go hand in hand, right? So that is the only way in which I would say that Solana can still reclaim that level and get back up to 130, 140, etc. But for now, I'd say it's most likely with the information we have right now, right? So with the information we have right now, I would say it's most likely that short term, due to the bidding we've seen coming in, we could spike a bit higher, but that it is more likely, or that you should at least be prepared for it, that we are going to drop down lower into that major support level between $90 and $80. I'll be back later today with my middle of the day market update. Keep an eye on that. That's going to be crucial. There we'll talk about the different scenarios with the US opening. But for now, I think this is what you need to know. All right, so thank you for watching. Take care and bye.